The gilded cage of Buckingham Palace, usually a symbol of unwavering tradition and regal composure, now vibrates with an undercurrent of palpable tension. King Charles, his reign marked by both duty and personal sacrifice, confronts the inevitable twilight of his years, a period where the weight of the crown feels heavier than ever before. Within those hallowed halls, where the echoes of history resonate through every stone and tapestry, a clandestine drama unfolds, a quiet storm brewing amidst the ornate chandeliers and priceless artifacts. Whispers, like insidious vines, weave through the palace corridors, carrying tales of monarch's final, deeply personal wish, a desire so potent it threatens to shatter the fragile equilibrium of his family. Princess N, ever the stalwart guardian of the royal family's integrity, stands as a bastion of unwavering loyalty, her presence a steadying force in the face of impending chaos. Her unwavering support for her brother, the king, is a testament to the bonds that tie the royal family together. Even as those bonds are tested, the hushed conversations, the furtive glances, and the unspoken anxieties paint a vivid portrait of a kingdom holding its collective breath, poised on a precipice of a potentially devastating familial rift. Each tick of the grandfather clock in the king's study, a rhythmic reminder of time's relentless march, amplifies the gravity of the situation, the weight of the crown pressing down on those who wear it and those who serve it. Outside, the stoic, unyielding facade of the palace, a symbol of enduring monarchy, offers no outward indication of the inner turmoil. It stands as a silent sentinel, guarding not only the secrets of the crown, but also the intricate, often tumultuous lives of those who bear its weighty legacy. The looming question hangs heavy. Can the bonds of family withstand the force of a monarch's final wish, or will the palace walls witness a fracture that echoes through generations? The imposing silhouette of Balmoral Castle, etched against the twilight sky, stood as a silent witness to the unfolding drama within its ancient walls. A profound stillness, heavy and laden with unspoken anxieties, blanketed the normally bustling grounds, a stark contrast to the lively gatherings that typically grace the royal estate. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the weight of the secrets concealed within the castle's depths. In the secluded West Wing, a sanctuary of hushed whispers and shadow corners, King Charles III lay ensconced beneath layers of richly embroidered linens, his once commanding presence now subdued, his vitality ebbing with each passing moment. The carefully crafted official statements, designed to reassure a concerned public, spoke of routine medical checkups, a veneer of normalcy masking the stark reality of the king's declining health. The truth, far graver and more poignant, remained shrouded in secrecy, a tightly guarded secret within the royal enclave. The cloak of concealment, woven with threads of tradition and duty, was intended to shield the monarchy from the harsh glare of public scrutiny during a time of profound personal vulnerability. Behind the imposing oak doors of Balmoral, a private reckoning was underway, a poignant tableau of family mortality played out against a backdrop of centuries-old tradition. The heavy silence, broken only by the soft rustle of fabrics and the hushed tones of concerned attendants, underscored the gravity of the situation, a stark reminder of the fragile human heart that beat beneath the weight of the crown. The castle, a symbol of enduring power, now held within its walls a deeply personal struggle, a poignant testament to the human cost of royalty. Within the hushed sanctity of Balmoral's ancient walls, where generations of royal history echoed in the very stones, a final, irrevocable command was taking shape, imbued with the weight of a dying king's last wishes. This was no gentle plea, no mere paternal desire whispered in the twilight hours. It was a resolute decree, an ultimatum hanging heavy in the air, possessing potential to either forge unbreakable bonds in the fractured Windsor family or witness its irreversible disintegration. Princess Anne, the steadfast and unwavering linchpin of the monarchy, was the first to be called to the king's bedside, the silent summons carrying the gravity of the moment. In the dimly lit chamber, where shadows danced with the flickering candlelight, she found her brother, King Charles, physically diminished, his once commanding voice now a fragile whisper against the profound stillness that enveloped the room. Yet, despite the frailty of his mortal form, the essence of his plea resonated with undeniable clarity. She must bring his estranged sons, Prince Harry and Prince William, back together, bridging the ever-widening gulf that separated them, or risk the lineage ending with his own passing. This was not merely the sentimental yearning of a father facing his end. It was a potent declaration fueled by the deep-seated fear of a legacy crumbling, a dynasty teetering on the brink of collapse. For King Charles, a quiet, private reconciliation between his sons, conducted through hushed negotiations behind closed palace doors, would fall far short of what was needed. His vision demanded a grand, unequivocal, and very public demonstration of unity, a visible and undeniable mending of the deep rifts that had become a source of public concern and speculation. A fleeting, perfunctory appearance side by side would not be enough to quell the rising tide of doubt or truly heal perceived fractures within the royal family's image. The cracks, he insisted, needed to be visibly and demonstrably repaired, a tangible balm for a worried nation, and an enduring testament to the resilience and strength of the monarchy itself. And so, Princess N, now bearing the immense responsibility of her brother's poignant dying wish, was tasked with the formidable and urgent mission of orchestrating this delicate and crucial reconciliation. The sands of time were rapidly slipping away, and the very future and stability of the crown hung precariously in the balance, contingent upon her success. Within the secluded confines of a hushed chamber deep within Balmoral Castle, Princess, and gathered the senior members of the royal family. The atmosphere in the room was thick and suffocating, heavy with the weight of years of unspoken resentments and the palpable tension of the moment. Stripped of the usual formalities, absent were the ever-present cameras and the retinue of aides. Only the immediate heirs and the spectral presence of past grievances filled the space. Anne's voice, clear and resolute, cut through the oppressive silence as she delivered King Charles's unwavering decree. The monarchy, she declared with unyielding conviction, could not endure in a state of such profound fracture. Reconciliation between his sons was not merely advisable. It was an absolute necessity, a non-negotiable imperative for survival of the crown. The terms were stark. Prince Harry and Meghan were to return to the royal fold, embracing a semblance of their former roles, or face the severe consequences of disinheritance and the stripping away of all their remaining titles. The reactions to Anne's pronouncement were immediate and sharply defined. Prince William stood as a rigid figure by the fireplace, his gaze fixed intently on the dancing flames, his jaw clenched tight with the years of carefully restrained resentment. Prince Harry, having flown in from California under the guise of a somber family gathering, sat stiffly, his arms crossed offensively, his gaze hard and unyielding, betraying a deep-seated resistance. Though Meghan was physically absent from the chamber, her presence permeated every word spoken, her influence an undeniable undercurrent in the tense exchange. For King Charles, reconciliation extended beyond the brothers themselves. It implicitly demanded William's full acceptance of Meghan, an idea that the Prince of Wales visibly struggled to reconcile within himself. "You want me to pretend everything's fine?" William's voice was tight with barely suppressed emotion, brimming with disbelief and a sense of betrayal. "I can't do that. Not to the public. Not to my children." Anne's gaze remained steely and unwavering, her focus fixed on the larger imperative. "It's not about pretending, William," she countered, her words slicing through the charged atmosphere with chilling clarity. "It's about preserving what's left." Outside the imposing walls of Balmoral Castle, a frenzy of speculation erupted, a whirlwind of rumors and conjecture swirling amidst the Scottish Highlands. Reporters, their cameras poised like predatory rifles, descended upon the royal estate, their hunger for a glimpse of the truth insatiable. Whispers of the king's rapidly declining health, coupled with the sudden and unexpected return of Prince Harry, fueled the flames of public curiosity, igniting a media circus that threatened to breach the castle's fortified walls. But within those ancient stone walls, far removed from the prying eyes of the world, the fate of the Windsor legacy hung precariously in the balance, teetering on the precipice between fragile unity and devastating collapse. Locked away in a secluded chamber, William and Harry confronted each other, their silence a palpable force, thick with the weight of years of unresolved conflict. There were no warm embraces, no cathartic tears, only words, brittle and sharp, cutting to the charged atmosphere. Harry's voice, tinged with a tremor of vulnerability, pierced the silence. "Do you even remember life before all this?" he asked, his words echoing the unspoken longing for a time before the relentless glare of the cameras, before the suffocating weight of titles, before the devastating loss of their mother. William's silence was heavy, his gaze unyielding, reflecting the depth of the chasm that had grown between them. Finally, he responded with a single, stark word. Yes. The word hung in the air, a sharp blade revealing the raw, unhealed wounds that festered beneath the surface, wounds that neither brother had fully acknowledged or addressed. But behind the king's bold and seemingly desperate decree lay a deeper, more intricate narrative, one rooted in the complex tapestry of royal history and the profound heartbreaks that had shaped their lives. To truly comprehend the gravity of the king's final wish, it was necessary to delve into the past, to trace the threads of their shared history, and understand the unexpected turns that had forged the very foundations of their royal existence. Within the shadowy corridors of Balmoral Castle, the carefully crafted facade of routine checkups and stress-related fatigue masked a far more somber reality, a silent struggle that threatened to alter the course of the monarchy forever. Behind the imposing, centuries-old stone walls of Balmoral Castle, a starkly different reality unfolded, hidden from the world's prying eyes. King Charles III lay confined within the secluded West Wing, his health deteriorating at an alarming pace, far more rapidly than the carefully crafted public pronouncements dared to suggest. Outside, polished press releases, designed to reassure a concerned public, painted a picture of steady recovery, a narrative of resilience and strength. Yet, within the castle's hallowed halls, the truth whispered through the corridors like a ghostly secret, a chilling testament to the king's declining health and the rapidly diminishing sands of time. His mornings were marked by an unsettling silence, a stark contrast to the once vibrant energy that had filled the royal residence. Some days, he could barely muster a whisper, his voice a mere shadow of its former resonance. On other days, he remained completely silent, his unspoken thoughts and anxieties filling the heavy air. Palace staff moved with a hushed reverence, their footsteps muted, their voices softened to mere murmurs, as if even the ancient walls themselves might betray the secret they all carried. The atmosphere within the castle was thick with an oppressive tension, a palpable weight that clung to every corner, casting long shadows across every face. The usually bustling kitchens, once a symphony of clattering pots and lively chatter, had fallen into an eerie silence, with cooks and maids moving like spectral figures, their eyes cast downward, their voices never rising above a whisper. Everyone knew, yet no one dared to speak it aloud. The king was running out of time. Only a select few were privy to the full extent of his suffering. His private physician, a figure of grim determination, arrived each morning before the first rays of dawn, slipping to the north wing with a stoic professionalism. Yet, despite his carefully maintained composure, the weight of his daily visits grew heavier with each passing day, a silent testament to the king's fading strength and the looming inevitability of his mortality. In the hushed stillness of the West Wing, where the air hung heavy with unspoken anxieties, King Charles III retreated into a world of silence and solitude. He spoke to almost no one, his voice a rare and precious commodity. Only Camilla, his queen consort, and his trusted valet were granted the privilege of entering those heavily guarded chambers, where he spent his days wrestling not only with the debilitating effects of his illness, but also with the haunting echoes of history. Behind those closed doors, he confronted the ghosts of a past that had shaped his destiny, a path to the throne that had been anything but assured. It began with a single, seismic act of defiance nearly a century prior, when Edward VIII, driven by the force of his love for Wallis Simpson, abdicated the crown, triggering a chain of events that would forever alter the course of the British monarchy. His brother, George VI, reluctantly ascended the throne, shouldering the immense burden of kingship. Upon his untimely death, a young Elizabeth, unprepared and untrained for the rigors of royal duty, was thrust into the spotlight, becoming queen at a remarkably young age. Charles grew up in her shadow, a silent observer of her unwavering dedication, witnessing firsthand the immense weight of duty she carried, the isolation she endured, and the profound sacrifices she made. He saw the toll it took, the silent battles fought behind the stoic facade, and the inherent loneliness that accompanied the crown. For Charles, destiny was not a romanticized ideal, a gilded path to glory. It was a heavy, unyielding chain, cold and unforgiving, binding him to a future he could not escape. For decades, he played the waiting game, lingering in the wings as the world around him underwent a dramatic transformation. Every move he made, every word he uttered, was meticulously scrutinized, measured against the exacting standards of royal protocol. When his time finally came, The world he had been meticulously prepared for had vanished, replaced by a society vastly different from the one he had known. The monarchy, once a symbol of unquestioned authority, now found itself navigating a landscape of evolving expectations and shifting public perceptions. The monarchy, once a symbol of unwavering unity, found itself fractured, the royal family divided, and public trust hanging precariously by a thread. And just as King Charles III began his reign, a devastating blow fell. A diagnosis of cancer, a cruel twist of fate that shook the very foundations of his rule. Suddenly, time, once an abundant and seemingly limitless resource, became a fleeting luxury, a precious commodity dwindling with each passing day. He was no longer a prince patiently waiting in the wings, a figure of patient anticipation. He was a king racing against time, grappling with the urgency of his own mortality. The throne, once a distant dream, a symbol of future power, now loomed as a heavy burden, demanding swift and decisive action. Charles, acutely aware of the fragility of legacy and the unforgiving nature of history, remembered the tumultuous chaos that had followed abdications, the unsettling uncertainty that had accompanied sudden deaths, and the destabilizing vacuum left behind by unprepared heirs. He was determined not to bequeath such chaos to William, his son and heir. His decisions, once bound by the rigid constraints of tradition, were now driven by a primal instinct for survival, strategic, emotional, and deeply personal. King Charles III, facing the rapid deterioration of his health, understood that time was no longer his ally. Decades of waiting, of enduring a legacy marked by sacrifice, scandal, and silent duty, had brought him to this pivotal moment. Now, on the precipice of his own mortality, he was compelled to act, to secure the future of the monarchy and heal the wounds that threatened to tear his family apart. The once seemingly impenetrable facade of the British monarchy, a symbol of unwavering tradition and enduring strength, now revealed deep and troubling fractures. The royal family, once a picture of unity, was divided, its internal conflicts spilling into the public eye, eroding the trust of a nation. And just as King Charles III ascended the throne, hoping to usher in a new era of stability and renewed confidence, a devastating blow struck. A diagnosis of cancer, an unforeseen and cruel twist of fate that threatened to undermine the very foundations of his reign. Suddenly, time, which Charles had once possessed in seemingly endless abundance, became a fleeting and precious commodity, a resource dwindling with alarming rapidity. He was no longer the patient prince, waiting in the wings, his life a carefully orchestrated prelude to kingship. He was a monarch racing against time, grappling with the urgent demands of his own mortality. The throne, once a distant aspiration, a symbol of future power, now loomed as a heavy and demanding burden, requiring swift and decisive action. Charles, acutely aware of the fragility of legacy and the unforgiving lessons of history, remembered the tumultuous chaos that had followed past abdications, the unsettling uncertainty that had accompanied sudden royal deaths, and the destabilizing impact of unprepared heirs. He was determined to avoid repeating those historical mistakes, to shield William, his son and heir, from inheriting such a legacy of instability. His decisions, once constrained by the rigid protocols of tradition, were now driven by a primal instinct for survival, strategic, emotional, and deeply personal. As King Charles III's health rapidly deteriorated, he recognized the urgency of his situation, the stark realization that time was no longer a luxury he could afford. Decades of patient waiting, of enduring a legacy marked by sacrifice, scandal, and silent duty, had brought him to this critical juncture. Now, facing the imminent prospect of his own mortality, he felt compelled to act decisively, to secure the future of the monarchy and heal the deep wounds that threatened to tear his family apart. There was no room for sentimentality, no time for softening the blow. Prince Essen's words hung in the air, sharp and final: reconcile, or be erased from the royal lineage. It was a command, not a gentle suggestion. A heavy silence descended upon the room as the weight of her pronouncement settled. Prince Harry, visibly diminished, was forced to confront a stark and painful reality. His self-imposed freedom to defy the royal family had reached its precipice. His father's health was failing, and his own precarious place within the monarchy was now under direct threat. This wasn't about navigating media appearances or weathering scandalous headlines. It struck at the very core of his identity, questioning whether he would remain a part of the enduring royal legacy. Without hesitation, Harry's voice, strained with mixture of frustration and confusion, broke the silence. "What does reconcile mean exactly?" The answer was blunt and uncompromising. Return a fold, offer an apology, implied if not explicitly stated, resume royal duties, and actively participate in repairing the damage caused by the rift. The monarchy, and stated unequivocally, could not survive with the open wound of their estrangement. In essence, Harry was being asked to perform, to act as if the past could be simply forgotten, to embrace the prescribed royal image and set aside the deep-seated pain of past grievances. The consequences of refusal were laid out with chilling clarity. No titles, no inheritance, no royal protection, no lasting legacy within the institution. Silence descended once more, the king's final act of authority an ironclad decision that left no room for negotiation. What Harry and Meghan faced was not merely a matter of political maneuvering, but a fundamental question of identity. Stripped of their royal titles, they would become ordinary citizens, yet still vulnerable to the intense and often intrusive scrutiny that defined their lives since stepping away from their royal roles. The shockwaves of this ultimatum reverberated throughout the palace. Advisors scrambled to assess the implications. Legal documents were hastily rewritten, and discussions surrounding King Charles's estate reached a fever pitch. Every condition was meticulously laid out for Harry and Meghan: a public demonstration of loyalty, active participation in royal events, the cessation of their independent media projects, and, perhaps most poignantly, a public endorsement of King Charles's legacy and Prince William's future reign. But one condition overshadowed all others. Harry and Meghan were expected to comply, without any expectation of reciprocal apologies or acknowledgments of past hurts from the royal family. Would Prince Harry accept this painful and unilateral demand, or would he choose to walk away from the monarchy forever? And how would he ultimately respond to his father's last command, a command that held the potential to fracture the royal family beyond repair? Under the somber gray skies of Balmoral, a palpable tension lingered, clinging to the hills like a persistent mist. The castle's ancient stone walls, steeped in generations of royal secrets, seemed to hold their breath, awaiting the unfolding drama. The royal family waited